Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Satterfeal. You're watching the Keith Andrew Network. Be sure to check out his social media page, his YouTube page. He's doing a great job. I met him 3 years ago in my first episode, my first interview, and he has come miles and he's doing great. He's going to continue to do great. So keep your eye on him, watch his episodes, and tune into the Keith Andrew Network. Thanks. See you around.
KeithAndrewNetwork Network. It is 669. I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Ryan. I just want to say thank you for joining us for part 2 of the KeithAndrewNetwork Network.
Thanks for having me, Keith. It's good to see you again.
No, likewise. I hope quarantine's been good to you.
It has, I've been quarantined up, holed away, but still auditioning and taking classes and meetings and webinars over the web like we are now.
No, absolutely. And I saw, I was just doing some self-promotions. I'm a big wrestling fan. So, WWE, AEW, Impact, maybe this will open a door for me. But I actually saw you did a movie trailer that was online, and you were talking to a couple of your actor friends.
Yes, I just finished the movie Poser. It's a short film by Mobula Productions and Count Films, written and directed by Nikola Stojkovic. And pardon me, Nikola, if I went through your last name quick there.
Yeah.
But anyways, the film is great. It's film analyzing intention versus action, and it analyzes like the online community and how people, say one thing but do another, and kind of analyzing people's intentions there. It's really well written. It was a great project to work on, and it's out of post-production and headed to festivals now. So we had an online Q&A over Facebook the other day, just talking with the crew and cast. And yeah, it was a great experience.
No, absolutely. Hey, if you're ever in the New York area, maybe we can do a film together.
For sure, man.
Now, for people who want to know and see our last episode, it was 357. I believe it's 357. It was done 357 episodes ago. It was based around July 7th, 2017. So you get to see the whole transition from using Skype and now using Zoom. Thank God for Zoom. Now I don't have to decorate my background anymore. And all that work's done. Problem is, I have all those props now. It's kind of like, what am I going to do with it? But who knows? I hold on to it for nostalgia and everything. So for people who want to know who you are, Mr. Ryan is a professional musician and a professional actor. So let's go back on the little icebreakers for people who didn't see season 1, season 4, whatever it was. It was 3 years ago. For people who didn't see our last episode, you are a professional actor, so let's rehash some of the very best of our interviews. And I was actually thinking doing little clips of then and now. So I'm going to ask you the same question I was asking you 3 years ago. Who influenced you to become I can't even speak, Jesus. Who influenced you to become a professional actor? And how many years have you been acting?
Okay, so I've been acting actually really into it since community college. I ended up in acting kind of by a happy accident, really. I was in my last semester of community college. I had all of my gen eds done, and I needed some credits filled. And at the time, I was playing live music in a band, and we just released our first rock album like a few years ago. We were trying to promote it, and so I was looking at the credits I needed, and I saw there was an opening for an acting class. So I was like, okay, I'm playing live music. Let's see what it's like. Let's see what it's about. So I showed up, and there was me and one other kid and the coach is on the phone, pacing back and forth, and he gets off the phone, and he either had to like stop the class, or he had to put me and this kid in another act in like his advanced acting class later in the week. And I was like, cause I had no experience. I didn't know anything about, stage acting, film acting, anything like that. Not much. And so him and I both went along with it. And I started there, and I ended up getting an A in the class and doing really well. And I thought, I might have a knack for this thing. And I really liked it and enjoyed it. So I went on to university for it, and I started getting involved with stage productions. And that's when I started getting involved in film too, because it was a theater school, but there were student films going on, and I got a notification about one. So I sent in for that, got onto it in a little small supporting role. And after I graduated college, after saving up some funds and everything, I just went to a major city and immediately just started meeting people, networking, everything. And that's when I started doing more film work for some of the places around Chicago. And as for influence, I know I had one a couple of years ago, but it's such a hard question to answer because I look up to a lot of actors, a lot of writers, producers, and different shows that I see online. But of course, I like directors like Tarantino. I like his style, his grit, his use of practical effects, how everything is just kind of really gritty and really there. As for actors, I just finished watching all of Peaky Blinders. So Cillian Murphy was just great. I mean, he had a lot of intensity and a lot of subtlety, and that's something I really respect.
No, absolutely. Now, the next two questions I want to ask you is, let's see. Now I have it actually, when I first do the episode, I have my green book. It's like, okay, when we do a part two, I don't want to rehash the same questions. Okay, maybe I did a little bit by reintroducing you, but I want to make it different. I want to be more fun and interactive. The next question I want to ask you is, what are some of your greatest strengths of being a professional actor? And what I mean by that, do you think that being a professional actor has strengthened you, not just as an actor, but in your everyday lives?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Because with acting and the career of being a professional actor, it's both on the creative side as a person and also on the business side too, because I tell some of my friends and some people I know who are about ready to like graduate school who want to go into acting, I tell them on, the business side or the opposite side of the creative end, you have to think about this as a business, and you also have to see yourself as a one person walking business, because you are. That's how the entertainment world sees you, is that you run your own business. You're it. You're your CEO, your CFO, you're the person in charge of finance, your HR, you're everything. You're it. So you have to run it like a business. But then also on the creative side and as a person side, it makes you really in tuned and intuitive with other people and interpersonal relationships, because when you're training as an actor, you're training in human connection and human relationship. What makes people tick, what makes people do what they do, say what they say things how they say it, why they're saying it, why they're who they're relating to, and what's really going on in a moment. And everything from like body movement to body posture, vocal tone, is mentality, and everything like that. It makes you much more in tune to those shifts and changes in people, so you see it a lot more. And also when I watch like TV shows now, like after going through a lot of training and a lot of experiences as an actor, when I'm watching TV shows or when movies now, I'm always like watching really intently at actors and the directors and the writing, and thinking it from like a writing standpoint or an acting standpoint, and always thinking and asking myself, what's going on here? What's happening right here? Why did this just happen? Oh, that was really neat. Just it really makes me think in a different way.
No, I agree with you. I was just thinking while we're us talking, let's go back 3 years, 2017. What were you doing at that very point? For me, I can tell you straight off, I was working at Target.
I had, I think, let's see, we were in the summer of 2017. So I just graduated university, and I was still in my university town because I was living in the same town as my university, and I was working at a coffee shop. I was trying to gather my resources and figure out what life is now that I've been in the education system for, 20 some years. And once it was finally done, I was taking the time to kind of be like, all right, what is this? What is this? What is life, and what am I doing now? Because to a lot of people who are graduating or just have graduated, you're going to need some time to really figure out what this is. Because once you've been in, school after school for 20 some years, and then all of a sudden you're released from it all, that's a shock. And then you're sitting there and you're kind of like, all right, what am I gonna do? What is this? So I was kind of taking the time to figure out my plan and what I wanted to do.
And are you satisfied with the results?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I grabbed the reins and I just went with it. I was presented with an opportunity to room in a major city where entertainment was part of the culture. So I was like, yeah, I can't pass this up. So I did what I had to do to make it happen.
No, absolutely. And it's funny you should mention opportunities. Opportunities are not going to fall out of the sky. And
No,
sometimes you have to create your own opportunities, just like I did. Turn a weakness into a strength.
absolutely.
Now, do you ever question? It's funny we should talk about weaknesses because this is actually the next question. Do you think being an actor and with everything that you accomplished in 3 years, do you think that whatever weaknesses you had or may still have are better than what they were?
As in, like, have I been turning them into strengths?
Yes.
In a way, yeah, absolutely. And acting definitely plays a part in that, because I think with let me see if I got this right here. But weaknesses in the form of, oh, I know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to find the words for it.
Well, let me give you
But
an example, if I may.
yeah,
My sister likes to tell me that I have horrible people skills. And she's right, because I am very socially awkward. But for me, when I do my talk show, it's therapy for myself. And it's my way of turning this into, okay, yes, I'm socially awkward, but the more I talk to people, the more it helps me interact with people. I used to work over at North Face, and I used to wear a badge, and I used to hide behind the badge. Hey, my name is Keith. I'm a salesperson. If you need anything, let me know. But now that I actually accomplished something for 7.5, almost 7 years, this June will be 7 years, so almost 7 years, I have the confidence to say, you know what? I don't need to hide behind a stupid badge. I actually accomplished something to show you, hey, look at what I'm able to do. So that's how I overcame my weaknesses, by giving myself the confidence, showing you what if you put your mind to anything, and like a broken record, if you put your mind to anything, you can accomplish anything.
definitely. I mean, before I got really involved with the whole acting pursuit and acting career, I was very, I wouldn't say very, but I would say definitely socially anxious for sure. But acting definitely helped with that, because I mean, you're dealing with one-on-one human connection, human relationship. And that's only going to help sharpen it and make it better, or make you at least understand it more, and then find out for yourself how to make it sharper, how to make your social skills and your interaction and your interactive skills sharper.
And now it's funny you should mention that, because as soon as you said sharper, I just imagined a sword. And I don't remember what movie I heard this from, but you're only as good as, see, what was it? You're only as good as sharp as your sword is. So keep making that sword very sharp, because you're sharpening your skills, and you're just going to slice through anything. I know that's Definitely. A horrible metaphor, but yeah, as soon as you said sharpen, the first thing that popped in my head was a sword. But the one thing I do want to add to is, with everything that you accomplish, are you satisfied, or are you still reaching for more?
Both. I mean, I am satisfied with the progress I've made. Absolutely. I know I've jumped miles in the last couple of years from where I started out and from where I was. Definitely have jumped leaps and bounds, but I'm keeping going forward. There's still more I want to accomplish. There's still more I want to do, and it's down the line, and it might happen in months, might happen in years. I'm not sure, but it's going to happen. It's just inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Very true. And that goes to my next question is, how do you measure, let's see if I can read it right. How would you define your success, and how would you measure your success?
In terms of just my own accomplishments or things I want to achieve?
Well, both.
Okay. I measure it because I didn't have as much, like 4 years ago, I did not have as much on camera experience. I didn't have as much on camera roles. I didn't have a good feeling on how to navigate the business world of entertainment and on camera acting. And 4 years later, now, I wouldn't say that I understand every little bit of it. And I'm not going to call myself a guru or a master, but I definitely know a lot more than what I did. And that's because, I've had several mentors over the years that I've reached out to, that I've talked to and learned from. I've taken a lot more courses in the city. I've taken some online courses. I've met very successful people who've given me advice. And that's only made me stronger than where I was 3 or 4 years ago. And I still have more people to reach out to, more people to learn from. And I just know that I'm going to be even stronger than I am now 4 years later from today.
And I'm not like a breaking concentration. I'm just looking down at the script at the same time.
Oh, you're fine.
Trying to multitask. But the next thing I was going to find that was very interesting, trying to define how to turn this into a question. Would you consider yourself a big picture person or a detail-oriented person?
Like someone who sees something from like a big picture, or someone sees something as details?
Well, when we turn it into an acting question, with everything, you wanted to be an actor straight out. So, but did you see it from a big picture? It's a two-part question, but here's the first part. As you're trying to become an actor, what was the big picture that you saw yourself to be? And were you kind of doing a little check off, was seeing you're detail oriented?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. I would definitely say details, because when I started going into the acting life, the actor career, I definitely started looking at steps I had to take, things I had to fix, and things to make sharper and better. So I definitely had a list, not necessarily in any chronological order or per se, but definitely a list of things I needed. So I understood the big picture of what I wanted to do. I just had to make a detail-oriented list on what I needed to do to get there.
No, I feel the same way. When I started my talk show, a lot of people could criticize me saying I should have done this from the very beginning, but then you wouldn't have seen a process. Of course, I do everything ass backwards. I did, from the phone to Skype or cut in half. The reason I did that, and looking back at it, people could have been a little more patient with it, but I wanted to show you it isn't A to Z, it's A, B, C. I'll give you an example I'm talking about. How you see on my phone, that reflection, that's all season one. And then season two was the camera recording from the computer screen. I could have easily done something like this. People said, whatever to certain people, say, oh, we came across his work, but it could be better. But it isn't, pinpoint accuracy because people aren't perfect. I'm showing you, hey, I have a disability, and by doing this my way, you're seeing it through somebody's eyes who has a disability. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And with the last 10 minutes left, I'm going to pass the show over to you. And you can ask me anything you want.
Hi, I'm Paisley Blackburn.
I'm Ashley Burgess.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Abney.
Hi, I'm Sharon Spank.
Hey, this is Samantha Moore.
Hi, I'm Melody Jones.
Hi, my name is Becky Yee.
Hi, you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 669. I am your host, Keith Andrew, the one and only Keith Andrew. I'm here with professional actor, Mr. Ryan. It's great to have you back on the show. I'm sorry it's been 3 years.
It's all good.
Last time you were on was 2017, but I'm slowly catching up with everyone. With the last 10 minutes, I'm going to pass the show over to you. But the first thing I want to ask you, my very last question, social media. Can social media make you or break you? And I don't know if I asked you this back in 17, but does your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever acting sites there's out there's probably hundreds of them, do they dictate if people should work with you and if you should get the acted role? Passing the show over to you.
This is a very interesting question because I've heard both yes and no in the entertainment sector. But I've heard that, the actor that gets that gives the best audition gets the role, but I've also heard that social media can be a factor in that. And that's also because of the, what's called the built-in audience, like a starring actor or actress or any of the entertainers that are cast in a project. If they have 3 million organic followers on a certain social media platform, that's a built-in audience right now. That's 3 million eyes that promotion for that project can now go in front of. That doesn't impact expenses for production. So that can be a factor. And I've heard in certain audition scenarios, Instagram handles being asked for, Twitter handles being asked for so that they can see your social media. And there's been audition scenarios when, my social media has been asked for. So whether that plays a factor in whether or not I am cast, that's beyond me. I don't know if they actually talk about that, but I know it has been asked for. But what I can say about social media for actors going into the public entertainment world is that if they're trying to create their own, their own brand or their own image, how they want to be perceived, is they have to be very, very observant, very careful of what they do post, because the more notoriety you get, the more known you become, the more people are going to be looking at you. So if you're putting things up on your public Instagram, your public Twitter, your public Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever, it will be seen. And there are people in the entertainment sector who absolutely will look you up when they're considering hiring you or working with you, because they want to know who they're getting involved with. And I definitely understand that in a business sense, because if you're about to do a feature film and you got 6 to 8 weeks of filming, they want to look you up to make sure this person that we're about to put a contract on, we gotta make sure that we're okay with them and we're okay with, who they are publicly. So of course they're going to scout and see, who you are, what you're posting about, and all sorts of things. So do I think social media plays a factor in, do we want to bring this person on or not? I think to a degree it can.
No, I agree. Going back to social media, there was a job a long time ago. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to rehire me anyway. They even asked me if I had social media, and I lied. And I said, no, I don't. Because I said, it doesn't matter if I have to work for a retail store. I'm not giving up my talk show for anybody. Not for friends, not for family, not to get minimum wage for a Monday to Friday job. Doing my talk show makes me happy. So if I have a choice of being miserable for the rest of my life or working in a crappy retail store, I guess I'm going to choose being miserable because I'm not going to give it up. But I do understand with social media, you don't want to hire someone who makes politically correct comments, like someone, for an example, who's not a Trump supporter or someone who is a Trump supporter. You don't want that on social media because while that person's working for you, you're going to get all that crap hit in the fan. Or you can make some racist comments or something that it isn't so black and white that anyone can easily misconstrue that, and then you'll be like, why did we hire this person knowing the fact he had social media or any of this?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to internet, social media, internet in general, when it's put on there, it's there forever. So when people post certain things to Instagram or tweet certain things, it exists. And I think people think that, if they put it up there, it's, no one will ever see it or no one will ever look. It's like, you don't know who's looking because you don't have access to that. You don't know who's scouting you. Like, in fact, if like you went on an audition or if you went to apply for something or seeking representation or seeking a manager or a publicist or whatever, they're probably going to look you up because social media is such a big thing right now. Everything, YouTube, all of that stuff is huge. We are in the digital age.
No, the last question I do want to ask you, and then like I said, the last couple minutes you can ask me anything. You go back 30 years ago, you go back 20 years ago, people would travel, they would walk around with a portfolio, and I mean, sometimes the old ways are better, but now you can post anything on Facebook and Twitter, and it's like, here it is. But at the same time, people can easily hack it, people can easily edit it. So yes, it's social media, it's good that it can help you with your career and everything, but easily it can break you because it doesn't matter. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You look at Vince McMahon, you look at Bill Maher, you look at, all these billionaires, and they're rich and famous, and they're like, oh, we do have this money, we have this, we have that. But if you're somebody who's under the spectrum, like you and me, you can't say anything. You have to walk in a straight line, and you say, we have to do A to B. Once you become rich and famous, you can do whatever the hell you want. And social media will become relevant to you because you're already established and people don't really care. But when you first establish yourself, social media can really break you.
Yeah, I mean, social media can play an impact really at whatever stage you're in, if you think about it, because it's the fact that a conversation can be started and continued at any time. Like if you go on Twitter and you go to the trending section or you go to the search section, people post something and it starts trending, and then the conversation just keeps adding and adding and adding and adding and adding, and people can share it, they can spin it, they can edit whatever, and it's it can happen really at any stage in your career. So when you're posting things on these social media platforms, you just have to be mindful of what message am I communicating and what am I trying to really say, and that's authentically myself.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up the show, was there any pride? Well, you did mention the film that you're promoting. Was there anything else you wanted to promote or give a shout out to anyone?
Yeah, if you want to, find me on Instagram or Twitter, it's just at Ryan Satterfeal. That is Satterfeal, and you'll find me on there. And my website, ryansatterfeal.com. And the movie I was talking about is called Poser. It's a short film by Mobula Productions. That's Mobula. You can find the trailer for that on YouTube, and you can also find the Poser Facebook page on Facebook itself to hear about all the news as it goes through the film festival circuit and where it ends up after that.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, let's cover the whole 3 years. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show 3 years ago, what was your honest first reaction? What made you say yes? And 3 years later, being a guest on the show once again, how do you feel? And do you think the show has gotten a lot better?
3 years ago, I was humbled and thrilled because I hadn't been asked to go on a talk show or speak about my path or been asked, questions like that. But I was also humbled and thrilled because I saw what you were doing with your own pursuits and how you're going out there making a name for yourself and showing that, I can do this. And I loved the message of that. So I was like, absolutely, 100%. And 3 years later, yeah, man, you've definitely made some progress. I've seen some of the people you've been bringing on here, and I've seen the changes in your logo and the graphical design and the upgrades that you've been making over the past several years. So yeah, man, you're definitely coming along.
No, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege to have me as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 3 down the road.